In this video, I'll be talking about tools to do letters, tools to edit letters, digitizing letters backwards, stitch types, density, and spacing. The video will not be edited, so expect to be kinda longer. I will try to be more on point with topics to avoid sidetracking too much. So first, tools to the letters. You have quite a lot of tools that you can use to do letters, and everything will be up to your preference. So you have the F3 tool. Just to explain one thing, I am on Wacom. Hatch will be pretty close in a lot of things. Other softwares maybe has other shortcuts, other names, but if you are using the software for some time, you will know where to go. So you can be using the F3 tool, the complex fill. You will be using this to do any shape in general. You can use the F4 tool, is the column A tool. Can already talked about a lot of this tool. It is pretty tricky to use it because it is not the most intuitive thing. There is the F5 tool that is basically the intuitive version of F4. F4 is column A, F5 is column B. You will be using the mirror tools a lot. This is very useful to do some letters because there is the feature that asks if you want to overlap stuff, and for some shapes will be really useful. For any organic shape, usually it's not the best thing unless you want some visual effect. Shaping tools and arranging tools too. With shaping tools, you can weld things together. You can remove some parts in specific. You can cut something on the object, but I will not be explaining about this because it is not useful for letters. Um, about the tool that you want to use to do a letter, it is complex fill, column A and column B. um, Everything will be very depending in what letter you have and what shapes in general you have. So for symmetrical letters, you can be doing half of the shape that you wanted. I leave these triangles to help with the welding, because sometimes if you want to weld two items and they are not overlapping, they will not weld. So you do half of the item, then you go to mirror copy vertical and click. Do you want to merge the overlap object? Yes. Select the object, press 8H to edit the nodes, and delete the middle ones because usually they will be kind of where you want. Now you have your letter. pretty symmetrical, but you don't have angles. I will talk about angles soon. You can use the mirroring tool with F4 too. The problem with F4 is if you want to make the triangles, you have to start in one point and expand from there. But you can start just a little below of the middle line of the letter and use the column A tool. The thing with column A is you don't do the design in clockwise or anti-clockwise. You will be doing the two sides of the design at the same time. So there is the start nodes and you will be doing the rest of the nodes on the shape of the object. Um, a good way to think about the column A is the fact that you are giving the angles already. Every line here is where your stitches will be angling. So very useful to a lot of stuffs. Just not the most intuitive thing. Only remember that you can't digitize with column A in the clockwise or anti-clockwise order. You have to do the two sides at the same time. Can be tricky because it is a little confusing. So do your nodes. You can hold Control to activate the snapping. Pretty useful. Remember that in any curve, the inside nodes, the inner nodes, will be close to each other than the outside nodes. If you try to leave the same spacing from this node to this node um, up here, you can end up having very weird angles on your ladder, as you can see here. You don't want this. So 2 points. This is something that you will develop with time. Try to imagine what you would like the stitches to look like, and you can do the angles properly. The item, mirror merge, click yes, select the object, press H, and edit. You can edit these middle nodes to keep the letter clean, or you can leave there. If it looks good, don't need to mess with it. And you already have your letter with your angles. On letters, I will explain this about this later. So the F5 tool or the column B tool, it is column A but intuitive. You will do first the one side in clockwise. You will press space to confirm. Then you will have these weird two lines. What you will do is basically pick the other side and do the other side in clockwise or anti-clockwise, your choice, and press space to confirm again. I like a lot column B because it is faster to do organic shapes with it, because you have to do less brainstorming about what angles you'll be using. The software will, at least on Wacom, the software will decide what is the best angle to you, because as you can see, there is no angle lines on the middle of the object. So whoops, I didn't press space. So the software will decide what is the shortest path from one side to other. This is why usually stays on the angle you want. But for some objects with this tool, can be, you can get very weird um, angles because of it. So test it, see what you like, and if you don't like, use other tool or do the way you like it. The same thing, you can use the mirror tool. Yes, in this case the angles got all weird, and for letters the column B is not my personal favorite, just because of this end up being a little tricky to get right angles, but you can fix the angles with other tools. So you have your complex fill, your column A, your column B. Just let me edit these middle nodes that get weird. So um, the shaping tools. With shaping tools, you will be doing literally the same thing, but in a more manual way. Can be useful to specific letters, shapes, and other shapes too. You can duplicate your item holding the right mouse button and releasing it. If you do this while holding Ctrl, it will be snapping on horizontal or vertical. So, or you can press Ctrl D to duplicate the object too, and both of them work. It is the same thing. So select the object, duplicate, use the mirror vertical tool and put the letter where you want it. Select both objects and use the shaping tools, more exactly the welding tool. This will do the same thing as you doing this and using the mirror copy vertical and asking if you want to merge the objects. Using the mirroring tool is just faster, is the same thing. um, and about arranging tools. Arranging tools will be useful when you have some letters in your design, but let's say the logo that someone sent is not does not have centered letters, or you are doing something a little more by hand, and there is some letters that a little up, some letters that a little down. You can use the arrange tools to fix this. So in a very simple way to explaining, select every letter that you want, and the last letter you select will be the letter that every letter will follow. So I select this one, last this one, and then you come to the arrange tools. Let's say you want to every letter align with the bottom, with the middle one. So we'll be clicking on like bottom, and every letter will align to bottom. You want to, they are the same size, so we will not have different here, but want to align to the top, align to the top, and middle. um, this is more useful when you have full caps, because for letters that you have only one capital first, does not work so well. But usually what I do in these scenarios, imagine that this is a capital B. Usually what I do is I break the object to get only the bottom part, and then I align to the center of the bottom part of the letter, and everything continues in the place you want it. Because if you have this object and try to align the other objects to the middle of this one, will look weird. But you can align to the bottom. On the top will look weird too, unless you want to do some specific stuff. Okay, I think this is everything about those to do letters. Remember, if you have any question, please DM me on Discord. I can explain it to you. Now, about tools to edit letters. You have the F2 tool that is complex turning. I have the habit of calling complex fill turning, because you do fills with the letter. The way you can use the complex turning to do letters too, but um, it's a little tricky because you have to do a lot of clicks to do it. But the way you'll be doing is you will do the alter part of your letter. Then you will have this this cross thingy coming up, and in this you will do the inner part of your item and press space. When you confirm, a hole is made on your item. Now you can do other holes on the item, whoops, or you can press backspace to go back in things you did, or you can press space to confirm and will have nothing. This is why not so much intuitive. But now you can start to do the angles of the object and press space to confirm. I don't like a lot to use the complex turning to do stuff, just because works slow. Like when I confirm that this is the item I want, I have to press space 2 times. And looks like the software takes some time to compute this, and you keep trying to add angles, but you lose 1-2 seconds because the angles is not set. But the complex turning is very useful to edit already made shapes. So this is a shape that we made with the complex fill tool. You can simply select them, press F2, complex turning, and start to give the angles you want to give to your object. Press space to confirm, and there you go. Simple as that. This one we don't have to edit, just because it's already have the angle points. But if you didn't like it and you don't want to edit every node to try to keep more symmetrical, because it is a little hard to make angles symmetrical sometimes. You can select the item and press F3 to reset the angle. So you will be going from have lots of angle nodes to having just one angle node. Then you can press F2, give the angles you wanted again, and there you go. The same with the column B. You can press F3 to reset. In this case, the column B already had just one, so you can press F2. No, you cannot press F2. You have to reset. There is some things that on Wacom just don't work the way you expect, so not the most intuitive thing. So select reset with F3 complex fill and do your angles. Other tool that you can use to edit letters is Ctrl 8. When you select the item, remember that the item will be purple when you select them. You can press T to toggle this view, or S to toggle only the wireframe view. When you press Ctrl H, you will be seeing all your angling points, and you cannot edit them here, but you can add new ones. So if you really want to be very specific where things are gonna be happening, you can give your new angles, press space, and the new nodes will be there. Remember, to edit already existing nodes, press only H, so you can change them. To add new nodes, press Ctrl H, so you can add the new ones. Okay, digitizing letters backwards. Why I do cursive letters backwards? Mainly for cursive stuff, you can do with I don't know how you guys call these letters, the normal letters. You can do with them, but it is not so useful for them. But for cursive stuff, it is pretty useful, because at least to me, I like to follow the path of a pen will take to do the letter. On this case of this M, you will start here, go here, go back to go down. But if you do this kind of following shapes while digitizing, we'll end up doing this entire first part this way, and the second one you will try to start from here, from here to end up down here, and then start this part. Let me give you some angles just to look a little prettier and not ugly on purpose. I'm using F2 here, just so you know it. So this is the this is what end up looking. If you are embroidering in this order from left to right, you will end up with this weird overlap. So this is why I started to do letters backwards, because um, will give you more sense of where strokes would be going. So the way I would be doing this M is I start from here, I do this one and keep going from to the top part. Go back down. Oh, I did a wrong stitch for accident. Let me do it again. If you press space for accident, you change from the tool you are to run stitch. This can be very useful when you are doing some mixed work. I do not use it a lot because I like to do things in sections. You do this overlap too. I think doing letters backwards, it is nice to give you a sense of where things will overlap too, because I know that this one will be covering this one. So this is the new one. Let me put them here. This is made in the order that you were seeing stuff, and this is the first, this is the second, this is the third. This would be the first, this would be the second one, and this will be the third. And literally, even without doing the angles, it's already look better just because this overlap. I think why I think will give a more natural look for letters, because kind of follows the way would be follows the way the stroke would be, and it's better on the embroidery part too, because the overlap is more subtle. This helps a little with thread breaking and bunching in parts like this, because with this, or you would be exaggerating and overlapping them a lot, or you would be trying to keep it very on the edge, and the problem you can end up having is a very fine tip. You really don't want this with satin stitches nor tatami stitches, because this is called sinking on your fabric, because what happens is your fabric fibers is basically like this, and if you are doing a satin stitch from here to here, you are kind of fitting on holes, as a way to say it. But when you have two small stitches, you will punch multiple stitches on the same hole. This is when you end up having bird nesting problems. It is because there is no fibers of the fabric to hold the stitches, and if you are using a lighter stabilizer, things go ham. um, so you will avoid uh, bird nesting by having a very fine tip. And other thing too is that you will avoid any gap here. Usually satins like a lot to make gaps on edges. So overlapping this way, you will be guaranteed that you will not have any gaps or no holes. There is some designs that kinda rip apart a little on these sections just because you have too much tension uh, pulling on each side, and this can make your piece more fragile. um, yeah, okay. Stitch types for letters, mainly you will be using satin stitches, and you can be using tatami stitches too. But when you when to use tatami stitches, just a thing, remember that anything on embroidery is a rule. Is just some things are not practical to make. um I see lots of people doing tatami letters because they want more. How do I say when I do not want the thing over the top? More tuck down. I don't know. Maybe tuck down. More a tuck down letter, and can be look good, but it is nice to avoid tatami to any small objects, not just letters, and avoiding turning tatami. Uh, I call turning tatami because it is tatami with angles. The major problem with tatami with angles is the fact that you will have a lot of stitches on the inner angle of your object, and this will end up having lots of stitches. Like these two are the same letters. This one have 500 stitches and this one have 800 stitches. You can use fractional spacing, shortening tools to try to fix this, but you still having more stitches than you wanted. Now it have 700, still a lot for a 16 millimeters ladder. So when I do tatami ladders, I tend to do only if it's on the bigger side. Usually, um, a recipe to follow, not a rule. I don't want to say a rule, but you get it. Usually, a good rule to follow is if your column, this is 1 centimeter, just as a reference. If the column of the letter is going past 1 centimeter, you it is it is nice to do it with tatami because satin does not look so great in longer stitches, and the major problem is with the 45 degree stitches, because while these stitches are having around 1 centimeter of length, 10 millimeters, the 45 ones will usually have 50% more, so 15 millimeters. And like on my machine, this one would be embroidered, but any stitches that goes past 12.7 millimeters is just removed. .ps files don't support any stitches that goes up 12.7 millimeters. So in this case, tatami would be nice, but try to avoid the turning tatami. So select the item, press F3 complex fill to reset the shape and do just one angle. Just a tip about tatami. Tatami 45 degrees will always embroider faster. Or 45 or 135. They are the same, just opposites. The same for 135 down and 45 down. Why 45 degrees embroidery faster? This is more relevant to domestic machines because the hoop bed motors are not so strong. So when you are doing diagonals, you have two motors working together, and this make the machine faster. I have a little chart about this, and it is very funny the fact that angle can influence a lot, at least on domestic. I don't have a multi needle, so I cannot test this. If anyone would like to test just to see if it is faster too, would be cool. Just do a big square tatami fill on vertical or horizontal, and one in 45 to test this. So do big tatami ladders with just one angle will, personally, I think it's look better. In some places, items, situations, turning tatami can look very cool, but you need to take caution with inner angles. It is very easy to bunch a lot of stitches on the inner part. Um, Now about density and spacing. Wacom has a very nice feature of auto spacing. It is based on preset values. The problem could be that you don't know what fabric they use it to set this, or settings in general, stabilizer, etc. But works great. But um, a rule to follow is the smallest the column size of your letter. This one is way smaller, way small. This one have 3 millimeters. It is a 1 centimeter letter. The smallest your setting columns, this is valid to any setting columns. It is nice so you have more spacing. Um, on the software will look very spaced, but you have to remember that you are looking at 1 centimeter letters at 700% and not at 100%. I have this design that I have spaced a lot the stitches. The setting spacing is in 0.6, and you can not notice this is columns that has half millimeter. And embroidered, let me look here real real quick. Embroidered, these letters are just normal and pretty, and the the spacing is not too noticeable. Looking very up close, you can see that it is spaced, but um, you will not be looking the thing like this. You will be looking at least 30 centimeters away, and stays light and still readable, and you will be avoiding a lot bird nesting, thread breaks, and sometimes when you have too much density in one spot of the fabric, kind of sinks. You can see that this happened here, like there is this little shadows. This is because this was a little too dense to the fabric, but here I was not be able to go lighter because uh, w- was starting to hurt the visual of the logo. um, so yeah, you can go pretty light with small letters and not have any problems. um, just the last thing, I think I am finishing. Look for patterns in letters. As you can see in this one, this L can be used to make the F2. You can already give the angles that you would like it to have, and in this case you can just turn it and you have one part of the other letter. um, you can use this in a lot of places. This C can be used to make other letters too. Like if you had made this C first, you can just put here and kinda cut the item short on purpose, and use the mirroring tool to do the O faster. To do this A, you can just duplicate the C, cut your, oh, there is this knife tool you can use to cut objects. But the problem with this tool is the fact that changes the item type. So every time after cutting an item with the knife tool, select the item and press F3 to reset it. And now in this A, you can select all these bottom nodes and drag them down, and you have your A. This is useful when you want to be consistent and fast, and usually it's very opposite things. It's hard to be consistent and fast. In this way you can be very fast. um, other I think this is everything. Tools to do, tools to edit, digitizing letters backwards, stitch types, density. Yeah, okay. Almost 50 minutes. And I was being on point on almost every topic. Um, Thank you a lot to be watching this. I hope this help you. Um, I have put this example here because I think that I would be using them, but I end up not using because I managed to explain what I want using just the first one. Um, any question, feel free to DM me, and yeah, do letters faster.